Hello everyone, welcome to the DeadTone podcast. We're your hosts,
Jason
and Amelia. Today we're going to be talking about the two most recognizable names in paranormal history, Ed and Lorraine Warren. Whether you believe in every claim they made or remain skeptical, their influence on the paranormal world is undeniable.
Before they became famous, both Ed and Lorraine Warren grew up in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Ed Warren was born on September 7th, 1926. He often said his fascination with the supernatural began when he was just a child after experiencing unexplained events in his family home. Those early experiences sparked a lifelong interest in ghosts, hauntings, and the possibility that another world exists alongside our own. So, do you think childhood experiences can shape what someone believes for the rest of their life?
I believe so.
I definitely do too. I think especially going back to like even our upbringing of doing this podcast and everything. I heard that noise behind us. That was strange.
There's stuff going on here.
Yeah, that was strange. But yeah, I think certain things, I would say even in my childhood, I would say when I saw certain things in my house and
Me
stuff,
too, yeah.
I think it did spark something in me to be more curious and like, oh, what is that? What did I just see? So,
but then again, people are scared to do that sometimes.
Right.
But
So I think it depends on person.
Yes.
And just because I think it could vary if you're fearful of that type of stuff or more interested and more intrigued to go investigate it more. So yeah, I think it's really cool.
Lorraine Warren was born on January 31st, your birthday.
Yes.
Crazy. 1927. Also claimed she experienced unusual things growing up. She believed she could perceive auras surrounding people, and those experiences convinced her that the paranormal was real.
Unlike Ed, who focused on researching and documenting hauntings, Lorraine believed she possessed psychic and clairvoyant abilities. So, if someone told you today they could sense spirits or see auras, what would you take it for? Would you believe them?
I would believe them.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, because if you witness it for yourself, I feel like you would believe someone that tells you that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I think, yeah, if they have a background in that field and they know what they're doing and they have, a catalog to show of that they're, validated in that field, I would say I do trust it. But yeah, let's get on to the early life of the Warrens when they met. So the two of them met as teenagers while attending school together during World War II. Ed served in the U.S. Navy, and after returning home, the couple married in 1945. Money wasn't easy to come by. Ed, who was a talented artist, painted homes, including reportedly haunted ones, to earn a living. The couple often spoke with homeowners, collecting stories about strange experiences. Over time, those conversations became the beginning of what would become a lifetime devoted to investigating claims of the paranormal. So, I mean, if someone invited you into their home because they believed it, or that they believed it was haunted, would you go? So I think with what we do on the side, I think we definitely would go.
We would definitely go, yeah, and help them and see what's in their house.
Right.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I think it's really interesting. So.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. So, as the years went on, Ed and Lorraine became some of the most well-known paranormal investigators in the United States. Ed studied demonology, while Lorraine described herself as a clairvoyant and trance medium. Together, they investigated thousands of reports of hauntings and unexplained phenomena over several decades. Their work attracted believers, skeptics, journalists, and eventually filmmakers. Whether people accepted their conclusions or questioned them, the Warrens helped bring paranormal investigation into mainstream conversation in a way few others had before.
Why do you think people are so fascinated by stories of hauntings and the supernatural?
I think it just builds, again, on the case of curiosity and just our never-ending questioning of what happens after death. I really think it does depend on that, and I definitely think it depends on religious belief and your religious upbringing also, on how you view the supernatural, as some religions view it as looked down upon or looking into that field, while others kind of give leeway to it in stories and biblical senses. But I think everyone has their opinion based on their culture and their upbringing in that sense, and just how religion is brought into their lives and how those stories and beliefs and folklore and legends and all that could all be a part of that.
One of their lasting legacies was the creation of their Occult museum, where they stored objects they believed were connected to paranormal activity. According to the Warrens, these artifacts were collected during investigations and preserved rather than being destroyed because they believed some could be dangerous if mishandled. The museum became one of the most talked about paranormal collections in the world and remains a major part of the Warrens' legacy.
Would you ever visit a museum filled with objects that people claim are haunted?
Yes.
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 I definitely think in some senses it is sometimes intense, especially with depending on the items and their backgrounds. But again, it's just that fact of curiosity and the fact of like, oh, I want to see, why are these objects so haunted? Why are they so, like, what is like the significance of why they are what they are, right? And also the mindset of the people who created these items, or the people who are tied to these items, and the stories that actually built up these items. I think there's a lot to definitely discuss when it talks around these items. But yeah, I think they all hold a very interesting and special story in their own way, although they are in the subject matter of, it's bad, it's dark, it's...
Yeah, but it's kind of interesting seeing them in person.
Right.
I want to go. Count me in. All right, we're going to show you guys a little video inside the museum.
In probably one of the most haunted places in the world because of the things that are in here. Everything in here has been taken from some place where people are either killed or maimed or so many ways. So it's tragic for me, to even go in. People are very, very interested in the museum. And there's some people that are afraid to even go in. Right here is a conjuring mirror. Everything and anything in here we have investigated. Don't ever touch anything. And if you do, let me know. This is the worst thing in here. It's that doll. I'm not gonna stare at it though. So you can take the picture, but I'm not gonna stare at it because that has done bad harm on a lot of people. You have to conjure the spirits in order to get them. You're not going to get them by just walking around here.
And that's the one that's sort of depicted a little bit in this movie, correct?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
That's the Annabelle doll. Yes.
Father, and of the Son, of the Holy Spirit, amen.
What has been done is circular embolism, which is prayers, are said all the time, to pray.
And you have a priest to bless.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yes, oh my God, yes. I can't do that. See, it's not easy, You see things and experience things. It's more comfortable now. It's a lot more comfortable for me.
Okay, so yeah, that discusses exactly, Lorraine's point of view regarding the Occult Museum. And we're going to be talking about some of the items that are also featured in that video, including the idol, the shadow doll, and also Annabelle. So let's begin. As Ed and Lorraine Warren's reputation grew, people from all over the country began reaching out to them for help. Families, homeowners, and even law enforcement occasionally contacted the couple after experiencing events they believed were paranormal. Over the years, the Warrens collected objects they believed were connected to these investigations. Instead of destroying them, they kept many of them locked away in what became known as their occult museum.
One of their most famous objects in that collection was the Annabelle doll. Unlike the porcelain doll shown in the movies, the real Annabelle was a Raggedy Ann doll. I used to have so many of those. My mom actually used to collect a lot of them, especially from estate sales. Yeah.
Just like the movie.
Just like the movie. But they're actually very expensive too.
Yeah.
If you sell them online, pretty expensive. According to the Warrens, the doll was originally gave as a gift to a nursing student in the late 1960s. Soon after, she and her roommate claimed the doll began changing positions on its own, appearing in different rooms, and leaving handwritten notes that neither of them said they had written. I would kick that doll across the room. I don't know why. If that doll was doing it, I'd probably cut off the head or something. Because you think that would stop it?
I don't know.
Or you think it's gonna come back together like?
Yeah, maybe it would come back together. I don't know.
Ew, that's pretty gross. Okay. After seeking help from a psychic, they were told the doll was connected to the spirit of a young girl named Annabelle Higgins. Really? Really, people? Come on. Ed and Lorraine, however, disagreed with that conclusion. They believed the activity wasn't caused by the spirit of a child, but by an inhuman or demonic entity attempting to gain the trust of people living in the apartment. The Warrens said they removed the doll and placed it inside specially built glass case at their museum. Woohoo, what the hell is that?
I don't know. I wonder if that caught on the microphone.
That was pretty loud.
Yeah, that was a knock in the corner of my room. Yeah, so if someone offered you the real Annabelle doll, but you had to keep it in your house for 1 week, would you do it?
Yes.
You'd keep it in your room?
I would cuddle it. I don't know why. Why was it like it's a nice little spirit, you know? It torments me. It said, I miss you, I love you. I'll be like, oh.
Okay, but what if it's like what the Warrens concluded it be?
Demonic or inhuman?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think I would care. You know, I'm so used to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, especially us going places and they're literally demonic presence. Yes, it's scary, but it's low-key. You get kind of used to it, so
yeah, I think it's about, like, you know, like you holding your ground and you composing yourself when you're encountering these spirits. I definitely think it is a different way of handling it, but again, you have to know how to handle it. Another object that I'm going to be talking about is, well, the shadow doll. Yeah, so the shadow doll. Another object that often gets overlooked is the shadow doll. According to the Warrens, the doll was never owned by a child. They claimed it had been created for use in occult practices and that it was allegedly capable of appearing in a person's dreams. The story goes that people who encountered it reported terrifying nightmares and the sensation of being watched. Whether those stories are true has never been proven, but the shadow doll became one of the more unsettling pieces in the museum because of the fear surrounding it. Do you think an object can actually hold negative energy, or do people scare themselves because they already believe it's haunted?
I think both, because a lot of people do scare themselves. Like, people do get, like, ugly dolls, or, like, they get something and they actually think it's haunted.
Right, I think that for sure, yeah.
And people get scared, like, they scare themselves.
Yeah.
But then again, if there's something that you know that has negative energy, or if someone told you, because I'm pretty sure if you're gonna buy something like this, I'm pretty sure they would tell you or have a warning.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think surely something that has what it has, like the crow feathers on it and things like that.
Exactly.
I think there's definitely be some type of warning around it. And just the way it looks and appears too. Like, I think it definitely needs an explanation to what exactly it is and what it was used for.
Yeah, so I just think a little note that says, hey, this is haunted, you know.
Right.
If you want to buy it, that's your risk, you know. It's not on us.
Exactly.
But if you're buying just a random doll from somewhere and you think it's haunted, you're just scaring yourself. But then again, you don't know if it's haunted. So you just gotta watch out for it. That's all you gotta do. But if you think it's haunted when you first get it, you're just scaring yourself. So
yeah,
unless something actually happens with it.
All right, so the next item we're gonna get into is the idol, one of the museum's more mysterious artifacts. According to the Warrens, the idol was brought back to the United States after a man traveling through Southeast Asia encountered it. The story claims that the statue was linked to a local belief that it represented a spirit associated with violence and misfortune. After bringing it home, the owner reportedly experienced a series of accidents and tragedies before eventually contacting the Warrens. Ed and Lorraine believed the idol had become associated with negative spiritual forces, and it too was placed inside the museum with the rest of their collection. Unlike Annabelle, the idol isn't as well known in popular culture, but among paranormal enthusiasts, it's considered one of the most intriguing artifacts.
Out of the three, Annabelle doll, the shadow doll, or the idol, which one would you be the least willing to touch?
I think it would be the shadow doll, in my opinion. I just think by the way it appears.
I feel like the shadow doll is way worse.
Yeah.
Especially where it came from.
As Ed and Lorraine's reputation grew, people from all over the country began reaching out to them for help. Family, homeowners, and even law enforcement occasionally contacted the couple after experiencing events they believed were paranormal. Over the years, the Warrens collected objects they believed were connected to these investigations. Instead of destroying them, they kept many of them locked away in what became known as their occult museum. Whether you believe these stories or think there's a logical explanation behind them, these objects became a huge part of the Warrens' legacy. Today, they're still discussed by paranormal investigators, skeptics, and horror fans alike, showing just how much of an impact Ed and Lorraine Warren had on the world of the supernatural. Looking around the Warrens' Occult Museum, it's easy to focus on the objects themselves, the Annabelle doll, the shadow doll, and the idol, and countless other artifacts. But according to Ed and Lorraine, every item in that room represented a real investigation and a family who believed they had experienced something they couldn't explain. To believers, those Those artifacts were evidence of the supernatural. To skeptics, they were simply objects surrounded by extraordinary stories. Either way, the museum became a symbol of the Warrens' decades of work. But as fascinating as the museum is, it was the investigations themselves that made Ed and Lorraine Warren legendary. So let's step away from the artifacts and into the cases that defined their careers, beginning with Amityville. So now if you've been listening to DeadTone, you'll be already familiar with the Amityville haunting and the Amityville case in general, as we just did an episode of it on episode 3. We covered the DeFeo murders, the Lutz's family's claims, and the controversy surrounding the house. So if you want the complete history, definitely check that out after this one. But today we're focusing on what Ed and Lorraine Warren brought to the case.
When reports of the haunting spread across the country, the Warrens traveled to the house to investigate. During their visit, they examined the property, interviewed witnesses, and documented what they believed were signs of paranormal activity. Lorraine later said that she felt overwhelming sense of darkness inside the home. Ed believed whatever was affecting the house, but something much more sinister.
One of the most famous moments from their visit came when a photographer captured an image that appeared to show a young boy looking out from the upstairs doorway. Supporters believe it's evidence of the paranormal, while skeptics argue there's a much simpler explanation. But regardless of where you stand, the Warrens' involvement helped make Amityville one of the most recognizable paranormal stories in history. If you had one night to spend inside the Amityville house with cameras, lights, and a full crew, would you do it?
Yes. Because we already kind of do that.
I think it would be really neat to do something like that.
Yeah,
I would be so excited and stoked to actually go inside the Amityville house and do an investigation.
It would be really interesting to do. And fun. I feel like that was so fun.
Yeah, I think we'd get a lot of really neat evidence if we did that place.
Yeah.
So, while Amityville was already making headlines, another investigation would eventually become just as famous. In the early 1970s, the Perrin family moved into a farmhouse in Rhode Island. According to the family, strange things began happening almost immediately. They described hearing unexplained noises, objects moving on their own, and even seeing figures throughout the house.
Eventually, the family contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens spent time investigating the home and interviewing the family. Lorraine believed the property had a long history and claimed that multiple spirits were present. Over the years, this investigation became one of the Warrens' best-known cases and later inspired the 2013 horror film The Conjuring. Love that movie.
I know, it's one of my favorite movies, like, of all time. But yeah, of course, like many Warren investigation, there are different opinions about what really happened. Some people believe the Perrin family's experiences were genuine, while others think there are more, like, ordinary explanations to what happened. But regardless of what you believe, this case introduced millions of people to Ed and Lorraine Warren through one of the biggest horror movies ever made. So now we'll be getting into the Smurl family haunting. Our next case takes us to Pennsylvania, and it's one of the most controversial investigations tied to Ed and Lorraine Warren. In the late 1970s and 1980s, the Smurl family haunting claimed their home was being affected by a violent and persistent paranormal presence. The family reported disturbing activity, unexplained noises, foul smells, and what they believed were physical attacks from an unseen force inside the house. One of the most unsettling details they mentioned was a mirror in the home. According to the family, they would sometimes see distorted reflections or movement that didn't match what was actually happening in the room. They believed the mirror became a focal point for the activity, especially during the most intense periods in the house. Do you think something like a mirror can actually hold experiences, or is it more about how the human mind reacts under stress? So do you think a mirror, like let's say the one right here in front of us in our room right here, do you think that a mirror can hold energy in it from the past and things like that?
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like it's like the bad energy, like...
It's the same things when we were talking about the items, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we have some recordings here for you guys.
Yeah, and this was the Smurl family. This is one of their visits to the house.
This is one of their visits, yes.
My name is Lorraine Warren. My husband Ed and myself were called by Janet Schmurl to this home that we are now in, just prior to the Christmas holiday, at the early part of December. On January 17th, we visited this home for the very first time, interviewed the families concerning the phenomena that was taking place to them. The phenomena began quite a while ago, but began to climax at this time. We are in their home again today on February 14th, 1986.
When the Warrens arrived, they investigated the home and concluded it was being affected by multiple entities, including what they believed was a demonic presence.
Lorraine described the atmosphere as extremely heavy, saying she felt a strong negative energy throughout the house, especially near certain areas where activity seemed to concentrate. The Warrens' involvement brought national attention to the case. It was widely covered in the media and quickly became one of the most talked about investigations. The story stood out not just because of the claims, but because of how long the activity reportedly continued.
Like many Warren cases, the Smurl hauntings remain debated. Supporters believe the family experienced something truly unexplained,
While skeptics point to psychological stress or environmental factors. But regardless of belief, the Smurl case remains one of the most intense stories associated with their investigations, and it's another example of why their legacy continues to divide opinion. So what do you think really happened?
You don't really know, so...
Right? I mean, but what do you think? Do you think of what the Warrens were able to collect and their evidence of it? You think there definitely was things in the house?
Yeah, maybe something was actually happening to them, but again, you just gotta think, like, it's a mirror that they're talking about with demonic presence in it.
And just think about all the media that was covering this case in general. Do you think they were amping it up a bit to make it more skeptical, like more bigger than what it was?
Cases like this, it's just, you really don't know, like, what happened, because, you know, you weren't there and stuff.
No,
so,
yeah.
It's kind of like an I don't know question. So, we have one more video that we're going to play for you guys.
The living room that we are in, we gave reference in the interview to a lamp that has a three-way switch on it, although there is not a three-way bulb in it, that would keep going on and off. The door just behind you, Al, is the door that the family on many occasions not only would find ajar, but would actually find open against that wall. Our researchers was perhaps in this area talking to Jack. They watched the dog, Jason, who is a full-grown German Shepherd, walk across. He wasn't coming down the stairs. He would have had to pass the two men in water to come down the stairs. And Jack decided to call the dog because he couldn't see him for a couple of minutes. And the dog came from downstairs up. No possible way that the dog could have gone from where he was up here. There was no other way for him to come from this level down without using these stairs, and he did not. Phenomena has occurred where Janet, sleeping on this side of the bed, has been pulled out by her legs. The dog, Jason, will sleep on this side. I gave reference earlier to the howling noise that would come from the dog. This is where he would be laying. This is where Jack was hit. This is how they will swing back and forth at great speed when the infestation or phenomena is occurring.
Whether you believe Ed and Lorraine Warren were genuine investigators, misunderstood researchers, or simply controversial figures, it's hard to deny the impact they had on culture.
Their work inspired books, documentaries, broadcasts, television shows, and an entire universe of horror films. They also influenced countless paranormal investigators, including people like us who are fascinated by the unknown.
At the same time, many of their investigations continue to be challenged by skeptics, scientists, and even people who are connected to the cases. That's part of what keeps these stories alive decades later.
And maybe that's why we're still talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren today. Their legacy isn't just about proving ghosts exist. It's about asking questions, exploring the unexplained, and encouraging people to decide for themselves what they believe.
So now we want to hear from all of you. Which Warren case do you find most fascinating? Do you believe the Warrens' investigations were genuine, or do you think there were more logical explanations behind the stories? Let us know in the comments below.
Thanks so much for listening to DeadTone. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow the broadcast and share it with someone who's just as obsessed with the paranormal as you are.
Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, not everything can be explained. Thank you for listening to DeadTone.